Step right up to Amazing Recaps, where we take you on a journey through the world of cinema like you've never experienced before. Today, we're diving into the blockbuster hit from 2009, Avatar. Prepare to be transported to the mystical moon of Pandora, where you'll witness a clash of cultures that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Join us as we follow the story of a young Marine torn between his loyalty to his people and his growing love for the exotic and mystical Na'vi tribe. Avatar is a breathtaking tale of adventure, discovery, and the unbridled power of nature. So grab your popcorn and prepare to immerse yourself in a world like no other. Meet Jake Sully, a tough Marine who lost the ability to walk in battle. His twin brother Tommy had been preparing to control an avatar on Pandora for 3 years, a planet rich in unobtainium, a precious metal humans desire. But when Tommy passes away, Jake is recruited to take over the avatar, a human and Na'vi DNA hybrid. Transported to Pandora via cryochamber, Jake disembarks using an oxygen mask because humans cannot breathe the planet's air. As Jake arrives at Pandora, he meets Dr. Grace Augustine and Norm Spellman, a fellow avatar driver. Despite Grace's anger that Jake has taken over his brother's avatar, she puts him in the link, allowing him to control the avatar with his mind. Upon awakening, Jake disobeys the doctor's orders to ease into things and runs out of the facility, overjoyed at the use of his legs once again. Meanwhile, Parker Selfridge appears to be the mastermind behind the human invasion of Pandora, with Colonel Quadrich leading the military. Grace is frustrated with Parker's interference in the Avatar program, which she manages. Jake, Norm, and Grace venture over the facility wall in a helicopter flown by Trudy Chacon. They are dropped off for a canvassing mission, but Jake wanders away from the group and encounters a dinosaur-like creature that nearly attacks him. Grace advises him not to shoot as the creature's skin is too thick for bullets. However, another creature, resembling a panther, begins to attack Jake, forcing him to flee. He escapes by jumping off a cliff into a massive waterfall, but now he's lost from the group. Grace, Norm, and Trudy search for Jake throughout the night, but military orders prevent them from being out at night. Grace fears that Jake won't survive alone in Pandora's dangerous wilderness. As Jake wanders through the forest at night, he encounters an array of exotic creatures. But just as things seem dire, Neytiri, a Na'vi warrior, appears perched on a branch above him, ready to shoot him with an arrow. However, a strange little sea anemone-like creature lands on her arrow, causing her to hesitate. What could this mysterious sign mean? Jake finds himself surrounded by the same panther-like creatures that attacked him earlier. He fights valiantly, but it seems like he's about to meet his end. That is, until Neytiri, a skilled archer, swoops in and saves him from certain doom. Grateful for her heroism, Jake begs Neytiri to teach him how to defend himself. She's hesitant at first, but soon they're ambushed by thousands of venomous anemone creatures. Neytiri is shocked when they don't harm Jake, leading her to believe that he might be one of the chosen by their deity, Iwa. As they make their way to the home tree, Jake meets Neytiri's parents, who are less than thrilled to see a human in their midst. They're convinced that Jake is a spy for the Sky People, but Neytiri defends him, citing the sign from Iwa. Eventually, they agree to let Jake stay and learn from Neytiri, but he must prove himself trustworthy. Jake wakes up safely and sound in his human form, but Grace and Norm are dying to know what happened while he is in the Avatar body. Colonel Quaritch, on the other hand, has a more sinister agenda. He wants Jake to use his new position to gain intel on the Na'vi and their weaknesses. In exchange, he promises Jake surgery that will restore the use of his legs. With tensions running high, Jake finds himself torn between the two factions. Will he use his new position to find a diplomatic solution, or will he betray the Na'vi for his own personal gain? The fate of Pandora hangs in the balance. Neytiri, the beautiful and fierce Na'vi, takes Jake under her wing and guides him through the ways of their people. She teaches him their language, how to ride their horses, and how to make a clean kill. Though it's not an easy process for Jake, as he keeps falling off his horse, Neytiri doesn't let him give up. She knows he needs to learn these skills to be entirely accepted into their clan. As Jake becomes more involved with the Na'vi, he convinces them to let Grace's avatar visit. When she finally arrives, the entire clan gathers to greet her. But Neytiri is still focused on training Jake. She takes him to the lair of her banshee, a magnificent pterodactyl-like bird that she rides using the connection of her braid to his. Jake must find his own banshee, but it takes a lot of work. The others will fly away in fear, and the one meant for him will try to kill him. Neytiri tells him to be patient and trust his instincts. Finally, Jake finds a banshee that challenges him. After a fierce struggle, he makes the connection and takes his first ride. He realizes he was made to fly, not ride horses like the other Na'vi. Neytiri joins him on her own banshee, and they exchange loving looks as they soar through the sky. Their peaceful flight is interrupted when they are attacked by the Leonopteryx, a massive dragon-like creature 5 times the size of a banshee. They are forced to flee to the ground and somehow manage to shake off the beast. As Jake's avatar sleeps, he wakes up in his human form. He keeps video logs for Grace, but also sends some to Colonel Quaritch. When he fails to send one for a while, Quaritch grows suspicious. Jake insists that he needs more time to find a diplomatic solution before they attack. But the clock is ticking, and the stakes are high. Will he be able to find a way to save Pandora and its people? Only time will tell. Back on Pandora, Neytiri leads Jake to a sacred location where the Na'vi can connect with their ancestors and the all-powerful Iwa. This place is where they can hear their forefathers' whispers and feel their motherland's heartbeat. Neytiri reveals that by bringing Jake here, he will be officially accepted into the tribe, and his place among them will be cemented forever. But it's not just any ordinary acceptance. Neytiri proposes that Jake can choose a mate among the Na'vi women. She even goes on to suggest some names. However, Jake has already made his decision, and the chosen one must also choose him in return. And she has. The night is magical, with Iwo watching over them. Neytiri assures Jake that their act of love has bound them for life. They drift off into a deep sleep, and their souls intertwined. But the tranquility is shattered the next day. A bulldozer rips through the trees, tearing apart the sacred forest of Iwa. Neytiri's cries pierce the air as she tries to stop the destruction, but the humans won't listen. Jake is still asleep, and Grace demands he eats before linking up again. Finally, he wakes up just in time to prevent the bulldozer from crushing them both. Jake jumps onto the machine and disables it, but the mastermind behind the destruction is none other than Colonel Quaritch. He sees the video footage and realizes that Jake has switched sides. Back in the Navi's home tree, chaos reigns as everyone realizes the destruction wrought by the humans. Even Grace, in her avatar form, is present. The Na'vi are furious with the outsiders for bringing ruin to their land. And then, the unexpected happens. Tute has never been fond of Jake, realizes that he and Neytiri have become mates. Colonel Quaritch storms into the link area at the human base and forcibly disconnects Jake and Grace. The duo had been trying to convince Parker they needed more time, but the Colonel had different plans. He wants to attack Home Tree, which sits on top of the largest unobtainium deposit on Pandora. In a desperate bid, Jake and Grace link up again, hoping to save the Na'vi from the impending doom. Jake and Grace run a mission to convince the Na'vi people to leave their beloved Home Tree. But as they arrive, they are met with tears and disappointment from Neytiri, who trusted Jake. He had known all along that Colonel Quaritch and Parker would attack, but he didn't share this information with the Na'vi. Neytiri's heartbreak turns into rage, and she orders Jake to leave. As the military helicopters swarm in and begin to bomb Home Tree, the Na'vi retaliate with arrows that have no effect. Grace and Jake are tied up and left to face the chaos. But, to their surprise, Moat, Neytiri's mother, unites them and urges them to help if they genuinely consider themselves one of them. As the battle continues, the military's bombs cause Home Tree to crack and collapse. Neytiri's father is killed, and the military retreats. Grace and Jake are once again captured by Quaritch, who breaks their links and throws them into a prison cell with Norm. Trudy, who had left earlier, returns with food for the prisoners. But she has a surprise for them. She frees them with the help of Max, a doctor from the Avatar program. As they make their escape, Jake asks Max to stay behind so he can be his inside man. As they fly to the floating mountains, the highest point in Pandora's atmosphere, they believe they are safe. But as they go, they realize Grace has been shot and is bleeding heavily. Will they make it to safety before it's too late? As they arrive at the link station, Jake's mind races with the realization that he must win back the trust of the Na'vi. Without hesitation, he hops onto his Banshee and sets out on a daring mission to connect with the Leonopteryx, a creature that had never before been tamed. To his surprise, he manages to train the beast and rides it to the Tree of Souls, where the Na'vi have taken refuge. As they witness Jake's feat, their admiration for him skyrockets. Neytiri, the woman he loves, approaches him and utters the most profound expression of love in Na'vi culture. "I see you," meaning she can see into his soul. In return, Jake declares his love for her, but quickly shifts the conversation to a more urgent matter. He needs their help to save Grace, who is on the brink of death. The Na'vi are initially hesitant to help a member of the Sky People, but they recognize the importance of preserving Pandora's delicate ecosystem. They perform a ritual that transfers Grace's consciousness to her avatar, ensuring her survival without needing a human body. Despite their desperate pleas to Iwa, the planet's guiding force, Grace succumbs to her injuries, leaving Jake and the Na'vi with heavy hearts. As they mourn their loss, Jake musters up the courage to deliver a stirring speech, urging the Na'vi to unite and fight against the Sky People's imminent attack. With the help of other clans on Pandora, they amass a formidable force of over 2,000 Na'vi. Meanwhile, back at the base, Quaritch monitors their movements via radar and prepares to mobilize his troops for a strike on the Tree of Souls. The fate of Pandora hangs in the balance as the stage is set for a monumental battle between the Na'vi and the Sky People. Will Jake and his newfound allies be able to defend their home and save their way of life? Only time will tell. At the Tree of Souls, Jake stands alone and makes a desperate plea to Iwa for help in saving his people, the Na'vi. But Neytiri interrupts him, warning that Iwa doesn't take sides and only protects the balance of life. Despite this, they embrace, hoping for a miracle. The Na'vi, riding on their fierce horses, charge into battle against the heavily armed soldiers. In the air, Na'vi warriors ride banshees, fighting against military planes. The ground troops are no match for the guns of the humans, but the Na'vi in the air cause some damage. However, it is not enough. As the battle rages on, tragedy strikes. Trudy, attacking Quaritch's plane, is shot down and killed, while Norm is shot on the ground and barely survives. Neytiri is attacked and falls to the forest floor, while Jake struggles to coordinate with his friends, receiving no reply. But suddenly, the humans stop their attack, detecting something else approaching on the radar. All the creatures from the beginning of the movie, the dinosaur and panther-like creatures, charge toward the humans, killing them in droves. Neytiri screams with joy, realizing that Iwa has heard their plea. Jake engages in a fierce battle with Quaritch, who manages to escape and jumps into a giant robot-like shell. As the fight rages on, Quaritch hits the link station, causing a hole to form in Jake's bed. Jake's human body, still linked to his avatar, starts choking since humans cannot breathe Pandora's air. With Jake pinned down and about to be killed, Neytiri appears and shoots 2 arrows right through Quaritch's chest, finally ending the brutal conflict. As life slowly ebbs away from him, she sprints towards Jake with urgency, his unconscious body lying still on the ground. The shockwaves from the traumatic experience he had just undergone had rendered him paralyzed, unable to reach the emergency oxygen mask just inches away. As the last remnants of breath escape him, he falls to the ground, his body racked with convulsions. Desperate to save him, Neytiri tries to awaken his avatar form, but to no avail. She dashes back into the link station and grabs the oxygen mask, racing back to Jake's lifeless body. Placing it firmly over his mouth and nose, she watches anxiously as he regains consciousness and gasps for air. Relief washes over her as she cradles him in her arms, both of them uttering the words, "I see you," in unison. With the last of his strength, Jake records his final video log, revealing that the humans have been banished back to Earth, with only a select few remaining on Pandora. He signs off with a thought that he can't be late for his party. Meanwhile, at the Tree of Souls, Moat and Natiri perform the ancient ritual they had attempted with Grace, this time with Jake. In a moment of surreal clarity, Jake's consciousness is permanently transferred to his avatar form, his eyes fluttering open as he begins his new life as a Na'vi. With Jake's transformation complete, a new chapter begins for him and his beloved Natiri. What challenges and adventures will they face as they navigate their new life together? Will the remaining humans on Pandora cause more trouble for the Na'vi? One thing is for sure, this story is far from over. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest twists and turns in the world of Pandora, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a beat. Join our community of fans and let's explore the wonders of this mythical land together. Until next time, keep watching and keep exploring.